Ah, shoot, I was close. I was so close from making it a non-technical issues Legion stream. Ah, this I. How's it going, everybody? Legion here. Music is not respond. Never mind, music is responding. Thank you. Thank you, Tabletop Audio, for making me look like a fool. Anywho, how's it going, everybody? Legion here. MAJ Legion X. I'm gonna start this again. How's it going, everybody? MAJ Legion X here of Thunder Squadron. Yes, I have flubbed that intro completely. So, it's been a day. It's been a week. Lots of things happening in the TC as of late. A swath of promotions for those of you who have been watching the polls and announcements on the Discord server and in the website news. Just a load of promotions going all around. I could not get the news ticker to list each and every single one, surprisingly, with all the other things I had. So congratulations to everybody who got your reg promotions. Well earned, well deserved. So in further news, just heads up, we do have a new medal that has now been implemented. I think the biggest news that we have, the new. I'm starting to scroll down. Wish I should have had this. There it is. The ORA. Yes, the ORA. Yes, we do plan on hearing JoJo references throughout its implementation. But the Operational Readiness Award has now been fully implemented into the TIE Corps. And it is to replace. It's hard to explain. It's to replace the Iron Star Copper Wing, Copper Ribbon variant, except we're not removing the Copper Wing, Copper Ribbon completely, just putting it now as a means for it to be used as a placement award, where the Operational Readiness Award will take its place as a non-placement award. Hard to explain. We'll get into that later, I'm sure, with today's guest. In other news, the other biggest bit of news this week, the new Combat Operations Exam, COE/2-2, one of those two, is up, revamped by Fleet Admiral Miles Prower, and it is now live. I am glad to report that I was the first guinea pig of this test, but it is live. And if you are interested, if you are in the TIE Corps and want to be part of the Combat Operations Office as an assistant, this is the test needed to pass. So go ahead and take that. I just said go ahead twice. I am okay. Just go ahead, take it. Have it graded by Miles, and he'll get you sorted out with your new job should you wish to go for it. Why do I put some emphasis on this? Because in RTF, Raise the Flag competition, again, we'll get into that later in the program, is around the corner, and he is going to need a ginormous amount of help. So yeah, if you are interested in the COOA position, the Combat Operations Office Assistant position, go ahead and contact him. Make sure to take that test, and we're right as rain. But today, ladies and gentlemen, I am here with someone who I wanted to get in for the longest time, but real life has just seemed to mess with schedules, as is always. But everybody, please welcome Rear Admiral Jaxx Nassin. I screwed up that name.
Nassin.
Nassin.
Doesn't really matter.
Awesome. Hey, how you doing?
I am doing good. Sir, we've been trying to get this going on for what, like 3 weeks now? 4 weeks?
Yes. And as always, real life decides to say no you and throw that Uno card at us.
Pretty much.
Yeah, but hey, we're finally here. We finally got it. So how you been?
You know what? I've been okay. It's been pretty good.
Good. So for those who are listening to the show, should have said this disclaimer as well. Apparently Twitch is reporting some live issues. Whether it's live or not, we're still going on the way with the recording. Apologies for those who, if there is no live stream. I briefly did see it live though when I opened up the Twitch page, so it should be live. But
I am actually currently watching it to keep an eye on the chat to see what people say.
Ah, perfect. Okay, so they'll eventually pour in. But yeah, if I don't respond, or if any of us don't respond to the chat, apologies again. I can only do so much with two screens. All right. So first off, want to announce or want to let everybody know who's watching the show. Rear Admiral Jaxx is the logistics officer. Now, how best to explain it from the words of the man himself? What is it that you do in the logistics office?
That's a good question. All right, but no, seriously. So the role of the logistics officer is kind of be a bit of the keeper of the archives. So primarily, I spend a lot of time in the Encyclopedia Imperia, which is our wiki. Mm-hmm. I'm also the go-to person when people have questions about EH timeline, lore, things like that. So one of my things I'm trying to work on right now is, as you may be aware, chat, there are currently technically 2 timelines on the Wikipedia for EH canon. And we're in the process of going through and trying to figure out what's best to keep, what's best to get rid of. Do we want to change any of the, not the existing EH lore, but the Star Wars lore that we kind of lean on, because the EH has been around long enough that we definitely precede Disney canon.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of, I think Camjen kind of went into this a little bit when you had him on.
Yeah, and dropped that bombshell on you.
What I was going to say was that we have a very long and storied EH history.
Right.
And our current timeline really revolves more around Star Wars history.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of one of those things I want to fix, where we shouldn't really be talking about Star Wars. Let me rephrase that. We should not be spending most of our time talking about the EH history in relation to Star Wars. We should be talking about Star Wars in relation to EH history.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So we've got 20 some odd years, 25 years worth of backstory that we really should have as the forefront when we start talking about EH canon. So that's kind of one of the things I want to work on. I've got a small team of individuals I want to put together and see about having like a little committee that can go through and say, this is what we're going to keep, this is what we're going to get rid of. What aspects of old Legends canon do we want, and what aspects of the new Disney canon do we want to use? Kind of like, I guess, as mile markers.
Yeah.
To really kind of seat where we are in time, because that's kind of the way I look at this timeline that we have on the wiki, is more of a guidepost, if you would,
mm-hmm.
for major events. So that way we can kind of say, oh yeah, I know what 25 ABY is, but I don't know what happened in 25 ABY. And then we can say, hey, this is, by the accepted canon, this is what happened. So, for instance, we're in 30 ABY right now, but we're really about 2 to 3 years from the emergence of the First Order, if I remember correctly, because I want to say they rose to prominence in 33 ABY.
Yeah, I would have to look that up again, but yeah, I think you got it right there. It's like spot on the money.
Well, I won't take too much credit for that. I was just talking to somebody about it recently, and that number just stuck out in my head.
Gotcha.
They're the ones that told me the number.
I mean, hey, that's the tricky part, with current Disney canon and the extended universe. Because even without getting into too much detail about it, I had actually contacted you earlier on a subject for a new IU course. Again, not gonna get into it on it, but it was just like, yeah, this is a problem because that list splits at this point, and I don't know which one to go to. It's like the best one to ask. What I had first asked our current TO, our training officer, and she sent me to you. So it's like, all right, bet. Why wouldn't I have first went to the one who keeps the canon lore? But we still gotta hash that out. But it is a very at least to me, it's difficult. Where do you like? What parts of extended universe do you take and do you not take, and what do we keep for canon, or
Which
Disney
is
canon?
why I don't want to be the one person to pull that lever.
Mm-hmm.
Because let's be honest, if somebody comes down and sets in stone, comes from the mountain on high with the stone tablets to say this is the canon, one, that's going to anger a lot of people, and two, I can guarantee I would get it wrong.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I want to put together. I've got this idea of a tiger team that's going to go through and say this is, what should be the accepted, timeline, or accepted Star Wars canon going forward. So that way we can make sure that we're not screwing up anything from previous timelines, but we're also leaving ourselves the flexibility for integrating Star Wars canon in the future. Because to be honest, I mean, the itself sits kind of, tangential to everything that's happened in Star Wars lore since the original movies happened.
Right.
So we really do kind of sit off to the side, and we're doing our own little thing. And having those mile markers that say, like, when was Luke Skywalker born is great as far as trying to figure out what our timeline should be, but we shouldn't be so mired down in those little pithy details about, like, oh, do we want to accept that Mara Jade and Luke Skywalker are married? Because if we accept that, then what happens if they bring Mara Jade into Disney canon and everybody's like, this is the greatest thing since sliced bread?
Yes.
And they want that version of Mara Jade, which to be fair, I do not ever see happening, because everybody loves the original incarnation of Mara Jade. I just pull that out as an example, because if you go to the timeline right now, it'll actually show on the timeline when Luke and Mara get married. I'm just like, why do we as the really care, other than that, like I said, it's kind of a goalpost marker, a mile marker along the way to kind of give you an idea of when things are happening.
Yeah, I do want to say though, hashtag bring back Mara Jade. Like you said, I don't see it happening. I wanted to. I really, really wanted to.
My personal opinion is not to, because she and Luke have such a storied history together within the old books that whatever they do would completely disassociate, and they might as well just bring in any redhead and give her any name. To be honest, either that or we get CG Luke with the computer voice forever and ever.
I mean, it's on its way there already at this point, ain't it? Because, Mark Hamill, old as hell.
Right, but if you understand what they did for those episodes in Mandalorian season 2.5.
2.5, yes. Yeah, you otherwise known as the Book of Boba Fett.
Yeah,
yes.
We're going to spend a quarter of our show on a completely different character that everybody really likes. But, like, they had a body double. That's not even Mark Hamill talking. They literally plugged a bunch of his old voice lines into an algorithm, and it spit out something. That's why it sounds somewhat robotic.
Yeah.
They're going to this route where they want to try and capitalize on that nostalgia, but it's going to be a hindrance going forward, because there's so much baggage bringing all of that into the shows they're working on, and they're working off of TV budget at best. So you're asking a lot out of a little. When The Mandalorian was doing best was when it was just doing its own thing and not having to really rely or hinge on anything that's come before it.
Right. So other than, hashing out details for the canon, because I know you and Camden have been in talks ever since, I guess ever since my interview with him that day when he just started dropping those bombs on you. And
well, in all fairness, he's actually been really busy.
Oh yeah, of course.
Yeah, well, he just got a promotion at work, so he's kind of been preoccupied with that. So he and I really haven't had a whole lot of time to talk about it. We're going to be blocking out more time here in the near future to really kind of start hashing it out. I've been real preoccupied trying to get things fixed up on the wiki, trying to redo the template section, make things a little easier. I've got the style guide rewrite I'm doing. So that way we can kind of say this is the best way to write an article for the wiki, and then I've got competitions I have in mind about writing pages or updating existing pages, overhauls, things like that.
Right. Now, without getting too into it, because I don't know what I should have cleared this earlier, but I'll be as vague as possible unless you're okay with it. Does that include the systems?
Yeah, I'm currently going through those right now. It's we have all the information for the systems sitting in 2 different websites, and so we're trying to condense those. But there's a disconnect, and this kind of boils down to things changing in the timeline over time.
Okay.
So the older system manual, if you go to it, just has a 1-paragraph blurb for each planet.
Real quick, real quick, for those of you watching, what we mean by systems, we're talking about the territories. The territories we've written up for the canon lore. So we're talking about like actual like planets and cities on those planets and colonies.
Thank you. Yes.
Yeah. I forgot. The Grand Admiral wants us to keep it open, so it's like crud.
You get me rolling, I'll just completely forget to explain the entire backstory. I'll just go right down the hill.
Right. So yeah, you're working on the systems manual right now.
Right. So the systems manual is a collection of all the, like you said, all the systems and the planets within those systems. So we actually have a set of IU courses that are designed around them. So I'm trying to balance 3 things when I do this. Take all the old information from if you go to the systems manual that's on the website right now, you'll get the old system manual.
Mm-hmm.
And then we have a new system manual, which is, I won't call it a copy paste of the IU courses, but it's more or less a copy paste of the IU courses. At some point in time, there was an update to a lot of the different planets that were captured in these courses in this new system manual, but we never actually updated the existing system manual, so there's conflicting information there. So I'm trying to do all that, ensure that the IU courses are still taken care of, and then if we make any updates, that reflects in the course material itself. So that way there's no issue of sitting down and going, what the hell is this question really asking? Which happens currently.
Right.
You can ask Silas next time you talk to them about how I freaked out about what is this question really asking.
I think I know which question it is already. As I say, are you comfortable with talking about specific questions, or do you want to keep it vague?
I would prefer to keep it vague, only
Fair
because there's honor code and stuff, and I don't want to be like, hey, this was the answer to the question.
Fair enough. But I will say though, I know which one you're talking about, and I'm gonna be honest, I did crack up on what happened, so apologies for that.
Well, I'm pretty sure that my answer was probably the best I could have done with what I had, and I still got full credit for it.
Oh, yeah.
So that's all that really matters in the end.
Oh yeah, 100%. Like I saw all of that going down while I was doing other work for the TO. But
see, and this is another issue too. So we've got these IU and you know exactly which question I'm getting ready to talk about.
Mm-hmm.
So we got this IU course, and it asks a question. There's nothing in the course material that states the answer to this question. But if you go to the existing system manual, which is the old information, that information is buried in a table somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
But that doesn't gel with the answer in the answer key. And that was a hill I was definitely going to die on, because I had it too dead to rights.
Yeah.
This is what the answer was. I don't care what your answer key says.
Yeah, I was there for the entirety of that. But yeah, so you're working hand on hand with the TO in getting these system courses
Right.
hashed out correctly.
Right, and so we're going to try and get the system courses. There's only technically 4 active ones right now.
Mhm.
So once we get the system manual finish migrating it over, and not that there's any holdups, it's been slow going, having to go through all the material, validate it, and get it all updated. These tables are very cumbersome. I'm also relying on Calv Ryder for all of his renders. He's doing fantastic new renders of the planets.
Oh, is he?
That
That's
we're
awesome.
using. Yeah. So if you actually go to the systems manual in the or the systems within the wiki, you'll see these new renders. And we've only got a handful. I think we only have like 5 or 6 planets right now. So there's still a lot of work to do on that end of it.
Gotcha. Yeah, I've had my hands full with other work that I'm doing for the TO, so I haven't had the chance to look upon the wiki to check all the new stuff. But eventually, I did plan on going through all of it, cause Lord knows, Thunder's squadron page needs work again, as it always does. And apparently, Marenta in chat is saying, "Don't listen to this guy. He voluntarily flies X-wings." I mean,
Technically, I voluntarily fly Y-wings.
so I'll say we'll actually, you know what? Let's get to that now. So, even though you are in you're the logistics officer, you are also still in Firebird, correct?
That is correct.
Now, my question is that Y-wing a personal craft or the squad craft?
Well, because we no longer have Squadron Craft Y-Wings in Firebird anymore, after this last go-round with remobilization,
Mm-hmm.
which, for people who aren't familiar with this, Squadron Remobilization is a yearly competition where everybody's given these different goals to meet, and if a squadron meets so many goals, they get to do things like upgrade their craft, change out for different things, change their mottos, so on and so forth.
Yeah.
So in Firebird, we were able to get access to, if you want to call them level 1 craft, because there's different levels of craft you can get access to.
Yeah, the different tiers though. I'm still in disagreement with some of those tiers, but I can understand.
They are what they are.
Yeah.
So we, when I say we, the squadron commander and current XO took a poll, and they were in agreement to basically redesignate Firebird from an infiltration squadron to more of a infiltration recon squadron, I think. And so in doing so, they got rid of the Y-wings and the B-wings, and they went to 1 flight of X-wings and 2 flights of A-wings.
Yeah, I was gonna ask what was the reasoning for that change, because I know a certain one is would not let me go away from this question until it is answered. But so the reason why you switched from the Y-wings to A-wings is simply for the recon portion of the infiltrator squad, correct?
That is correct.
Yeah. Oh, apologies, stream, if you heard that. A lot of you know that I live in Florida. You're gonna hear rain. You're gonna hear lightning and thunder. Pun intended. Apologies. So, all right. So back to the squad. So you back to the Y-wing. You said the Y-wing is your personal one, or?
Yeah, I actually fly a personal Y-wing that I named Hog, HAWG. In real space, it kind of reminds me of an A10.
Okay, yep, fair. I can see that connection. But
so I wanted to bring that idea over, so hence the name Hog. And I actually was working on a small fiction last year about a different personal craft, which was a modified Gozanti that I called the Penultimate, or the Pen for Pigpen.
Yes, I do remember hearing about that. But so, have you always had this Y-wing since you first joined?
Yeah, since that was like one of the first things I added to my INPR.
Immediately,
or to my profile. Yeah.
Yeah. If only we could get every sub-lieutenant to do that. No, not being salty about it.
Well, I'm pretty sure I was lieutenant at the time, because I made lieutenant within like 2 hours.
Yeah, okay, that's another discussion that I've had with a lot of other folks. It's like, how long did it take between your sub-lieutenant to lieutenant transition? I think the fastest I've ever heard was 30 minutes. Honestly, like straight.
You have to have a very tight-end commander for that.
Well, I think like Pliff was like right there from what they said, and was like, yeah, all right, cool, switch. It's like, oh, okay.
I think like on day 1, I did like my INP. I basically looked at the list, was like, what are the 5 things to do, and I basically did all of them. So it was like, oh yeah, we'll submit LOCs, we'll do INPR. I just went down the whole list.
Yeah. That's the same thing. Like I was still kind of vague in my INPR at first, but I eventually fleshed it out. But it was mostly the legions of skirmish that I got that that got it switched, but it was still like within a couple of hours. It didn't take, in certain cases, months to switch between sub-lieutenant to lieutenant.
Right.
But
well, if it's taken a sub-lieutenant that long to make lieutenant, they're not trying very hard.
yes, in certain cases though, something may have come up, but then it falls back to, well, okay, so when it got cleared, what happened? Why didn't you continue? And that's where the question remains open to this day.
Yeah.
So, all right. So you started it. You started straight in Firebird and haven't left, or have you jumped squadrons? Because all I know is that you started in Firebird, to my knowledge.
I have always been in Firebird since I joined. So when I joined, and Marenta will call me a dirty rebel sympathizer for this.
Yeah.
She knows that I've always preferred the Rebels or the New Republic in pretty much all iterations of Star Wars.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of how the movies are designed. They want you to like
Yeah.
the good guys.
Exactly.
So they are really infallible.
Right. And
So
I'm looking. I'm just waiting for the chat to pop up, but she hasn't said anything yet. So I'm sorry.
Give her a second. She's already trying to remind me that I'm in Firebird 1-3.
Okay.
Which is X-Wings. But yeah, so I joined straight out of the gate, and she was like, well, since you like New Republic or Rebels, you really should go to one of the infiltrator squadrons. So she's busy.
Yeah, I just saw that she's busy. Okay. All right.
So she suggested when I joined, because she actually tried for months to get me to join. Probably dating back to, I'd say, January or February of 21. So she was really, because she'd been in the EH back in the 90s, and then we met and got married in the late aughts, and I've heard about the EH off and on, and then during like the beginning of the pandemic, she was like, we're all sitting around, kind of trying to figure out what we're gonna do in isolation and lockdown. So she was like, I wonder if the EH is still active. Squadrons that just came out. I had actually just finished the campaign mode and had put the game down.
Oh, okay.
And so she ends up buying the game, finds out the EH is still a thing, joins back up in the reserves, and she starts playing the crap out of it. And I'm just like, that sounds like fun, but I don't want to join a big group right now. So she needled me for a while, and the way she got me to join, and it, like I said, it took her a handful of months. She just kept having fun. And just made me jealous.
Okay, so she used the bait tactic here. It's like, oh, look at how much fun I'm having, and here you are.
Pretty much. And finally, I was like, fine, I'll have fun. I'll come and join your little group. So in the beginning, when she was like trying to get me to join, she kept saying, hey, why don't you go and actually join, one of the infiltrator squadrons? So when I finally did pull the trigger, I picked him. She had talked with Stryker, and they both agreed to have me come into Firebird.
Gotcha. And it was just since then you haven't left Firebird.
No. So if you want to say meteoric rise at the beginning, so I quickly got pulled in as a flight lead, and then took over a Squadron XO, and was actually in line to take over Commander at the beginning of the year. But then, at the same time, the previous logistics officer stood down, and I took the opportunity to put my name in the hat. And so at the exact same time that Commander came up from Firebird, I got the call from Turtle that I was one of the finalists for LO, and I was like, oh boy. So
it's like,
obviously I didn't want to take both, because we do have EHCS members who do hold command positions within the TC. So like if you look at Lon
would be the perfect example. Yeah.
But in his case, which by the way, he was actually in Firebird when I first joined.
Oh, okay.
He was in Firebird. He actually stepped back out to become, if you want to say, TIE Corps reservist. He was still active in the EHCS, but he no longer wanted to hold a flight position. So he took a step away from the TC, but then we needed a commander within the fleet, and he took it upon himself to dual hat, if you would. And so he's been dual hatting as a squadron commander for a few months now. I didn't want to do that because we had viable, interested people in becoming commander for Firebird, and I felt that would be taking an opportunity away from somebody if I was dual hatting in that perspective. Right. So that's one of the reasons why I decided I wouldn't take the commander spot, and we left it open. And then, Stryker came back, he took over, and now he's in Raven. And
the new Raven squad.
I stood back from Squadron Command or Squadron XO to give somebody else, which was Taurus at the time. We allowed Taurus to step into the XO position, and now Taurus is commander of Firebird. So trying to let things naturally move the way they should move instead of having a higher up individual sit on a position when we have people who want to be in those positions.
Right, naturally, which is also what Silas is doing in Thunder. We're trying to get, we have a new XO, or I've selected a new XO, and we're just waiting for Pliff to make the change at this point. But it was natural for y'all are already in CS positions. Let those that are starting up and showing promise, pull the reins on a squad level leadership so that they can get that experience under their belt.
Correct.
Yeah, and I was gonna say now with Taurus being a Firebird commander, how has that been? I haven't had the chance to talk to him as an actual commander.
Oh, he's been doing wonderful. He's really stepped in the role, really taken over the reins. Chose going to recon, which was a major departure from what we've been doing previously.
Mm-hmm.
He just took a poll within the squadron. They changed our motto, I think it was. Let me look.
No, you mean not the
the nickname. The nickname.
Oh, okay, the nickname.
We changed our nickname.
Mm-hmm.
So now we're the Lion Eyes.
Okay.
Which is kind of funny. I think it's a good, funny, punny name, being that we're infiltrator recon.
Yeah, I have to ask though, for those who don't know the whole joke, how long did it take for you to get flight names in Firebird? Sorry.
Oh, we're gonna do that, okay.
Sorry, I had to put in that little fork in the side because it's Firebird I think is the only one that has that history.
Yeah, because we've got brand new squadrons who were stood up after Firebird who already have their nicknames. It took us, let's see here, October 2020, I think, was when Firebird was stood up, and it wasn't until, I want to say, March of 2022.
Mm-hmm.
And that was for everything. We had nicknames right after RTF in 21, or Raise the Flag, so that would have been November, December time frame. And then I did ranked choice polling to see what kind of names we wanted for each of the flights, and then we just blurted stuff out until we said that one sounds really good, and that's how we picked our mottos. However, that still took a while to get put into place.
Right, and it wasn't. I'm not pointing any names because, in all honesty, it wasn't anyone's fault. It was just timing.
There was a lot of horrible timing in there.
Yeah. Timing was just horrendous. But eventually,
yes,
you did.
It turned into kind of a joke on the challenge.
Yeah.
As anybody who was on the challenge, actually, I think even the whole fleet could have seen the channel. We had a chat channel called Firebird Flight Memes, which was where everybody came to poke fun at us for not having nicknames or flight mottos.
Yeah, I think it was actually fleet-wide at some point, but I think it's no longer there, is it? Actually looking to see.
I'm not covering for the culprit, Moretta. I am being political. There's a difference.
Oh, what'd she say?
Yeah, I'm looking at the chat.
No. To be fair, just the timing was just all horrendous. No one was at fault. Well, yes, but no. The squadron management page was, for certain people, was broken. Yeah. We'll go there.
Yeah, sure. That's exactly like.
Yeah. We'll use that. But no, like I know like everyone wanted to know like what was up with that, and there's your answer, ladies and gentlemen. It's just timing was bad. They did though finally get their names. I do have to ask though, because every time I see it, it doesn't so much confuse me, because I know there's a meaning behind it, but I just never asked anybody. I believe it's your flight 3, the Brahmins? Brahmas. What is that?
All right. So as you may know, Travis has a thing about chickens.
Right.
So everything is chicken wing, chicken this. We've had the barbecue bee wings before, the foghorn leghorns. He really goes hard on the chicken aspect because Firebird, he sees fire chicken.
Right.
So he really leans into that. So Brahma, if you ever just Google it and just kind of pull up a GIF, it is a gigantic dinosaur chicken.
That's what
By
that
dinosaur
GIF...
chicken, I mean it's a modern chicken, but the damn thing it's like got to be 4 feet tall. It's huge.
That one GIF that constantly gets posted every now and then in the Discord server, that's what that is, I'm guessing.
Yeah, so that big chicken that's coming out of the coop, absolutely, like it can't even squeeze through the door.
Yeah.
That's a Brahma.
Okay.
It's massive, and he loves the crap out of it.
Okay, that makes a lot more sense, because here I am looking at this name, and me and my rap brain that goes straight to the Fallout universe doesn't read.
Right,
doesn't,
I did the same thing. I thought it was a two-headed cow.
I was just like, doesn't read Brahmas, reads Brahmin, which is the two-headed cow creatures in the Fallout games. I'm like, that's nothing to do with chickens. What? But no, that makes more sense, because I just didn't know what a Brahmas was. But not. So yeah, you got
that's Brahma. It is a gigantic chicken that I'm pretty sure still thinks it's a dinosaur. I think most chickens think they're still dinosaurs, but I think Brahmas are even worse because they're big.
I was gonna say some sort of. Is that still a thing with like they had some sort of genetic link to the T-Rex, and I'm really trying to say that with a straight face, but I can't.
I think so, maybe. I'm not a chicken specialist.
Nor am I.
We'll have to ask Travis. He's the one that knows everything about chickens.
Yeah, I just remember like there was some sort of connection between chickens and T-Rexes. I'm like, there's no way. I can't take that seriously.
Well, and here's a funny story for you about Travis and chickens. So when I first joined up, one of the things that Travis and I bonded over was that we're also both huge Ghostbuster fans.
Right.
He and I both actually own proton packs. So we bonded over this. We had our little geeky moment about Ghostbusters, and he started going in on the chicken stuff. Now, if you've ever watched the old cartoon from the 80s, they actually had an episode with a were-chicken.
I think I vaguely remember that, yeah.
Yeah, there's this guy, he absolutely hates chickens, and he's got this long, like, crooked neck and this big beak-like nose, and he looks like a goddamn chicken. And so Travis was going on and on about it, so I thought I would do something very nice for him. So I made a uniform, and I photoshopped that guy's head onto his uniform. Travis the Chicken Man.
He loved it ever since, I'm guessing.
He enjoyed it for what it was.
Nice. But yeah, like you also have a bunch of other legends on Firebird as well. Like for example, Nixa, who I among others from Tempest Squad, as I see as one of the top monsters of the single player realm.
He still sets high scores to this day.
I was just
battle high scores. It's impressive what he can do.
For those of you wanting to know what the difference between a mission high score and a battle high score is, so the mission high score, that's just one mission. Battles tend to have an average between, I'm gonna say 4 to 7 missions, an average.
I typically plan on at least 5.
Yeah. And those battle high scores cover all of those missions. So to set a battle high score is pretty damn impressive. But yeah, like you have Nixa, you have Travis, you have Trigi, who is the squad's current XO. How's he doing with that?
He's doing great.
Doing good. All right.
Everybody's doing great. I'm just gonna go ahead and say that.
Yeah.
But Trigi has really stepped into that as well. I mean, constantly posting, constantly keeping people engaged. He's really good at the role. And as a former Squadron XO, I appreciate everything that he does.
I was gonna say that's why I asked. It's like you think he's what's the word I'm looking for? Acclimatizing to the role.
Yeah, he's definitely acclimatized to it. I'm pretty sure he's been a Squadron XO before.
Right, because he's a returning member.
Yes.
All right. And
yeah, he's I want to say he joined 20. Let's see here. He joined 22 years ago.
Whew, yeah. So he definitely has.
I want to say he was at one point I think a logistics officer. Maybe that was Darkonis. That was. We've got another couple old hats in. Like we got a lot of old hats in.
Yeah, I was gonna say Obi, who Darkonis is. Yeah, he's in there as well. But
Trigi used to be a wing commander back when we actually had those.
Wing commanders. Oh no, that is a landmine we are not touching. I can already see the general red alert sounding in a certain High Admiral's head right now. But
all of a sudden he'll be summoned into the chat.
Oh God!
I heard wing commander.
Please God no. But yeah, I see. Also, you have a new one, an Alexander Castle.
Oh, well, okay. He's actually been in Firebird for a few months. Not to get too into it, he's really meant to have already been AWOL'd at this point. He's missed his AWOL check. He needs to be inactive. It's because I want to say he's been in for about 5 months now.
So that goes in with what we were talking about earlier.
3 months. He's been in for 3 months.
Well,
he joined in May.
Well, if he doesn't get the movement, let's hope he does come back, for sure.
We've tried. I really have tried to get him back. I think he's no longer on the Discord server is one problem we're running into.
Well, wherever he is, I hope he's doing well. All right, so moving on, reversing back, I should say, from the list of questions I have here. Any sort of future plans other than what you're working on already with the wiki and the systems manual, the canon, I'm sure, or is that just literally the only things you have at this current time?
Well, I mean, everything I am currently working on revolves around those. So, manuals are a big thing. So we've talked about the Emperor's Hammer training manual. It's very out of date. I want to say it was last updated in 2011, maybe before then. So we've looked at the training manual and tried to figure out what is its real purpose. So we've considered, instead of making it a true quote-unquote training manual, turn it in more of a policy document. Mm-hmm. All this stuff is so super exciting and flashy, I know. But we've looked at these ideas of going through all the different manuals. As you've seen, like the coup manual, Miles has migrated over to the wiki. We're currently in talks with Pliff about migrating the TCPM to the wiki. Obviously, the system manual is currently being migrated into the wiki.
Pretty much everything is going into the wiki.
That is the idea. It's a great resource because we can actually lock things down, so it can't just be edited willy-nilly. So like if you as an individual try to go to, say, the coup manual and try to edit the coup manual, you cannot. Only Miles can, and other people who have similar permissions. Right. We'll do the same thing for the TCPM and et cetera, et cetera. So that way we can maintain that revision history. So as things change over time, we can see what did they used to be like by looking at the rev data. So that way we don't lose things to some form of tribalism or tribal knowledge that people just kind of forget or mess up in their brains over time. Mm-hmm. So that's one of the big things. But yeah, a couple other things I got going on is, again, wiki related. I've got this unit page guideline style guide I'm trying to write up. So basically, kind of read as this is not an expected way, but a preferred way of, say, formatting your squadron page, things to that nature. I've got some I think I mentioned this earlier. I've got competitions I have planned that I want once I get the style guides formalized, where we actually put out competitions that'll say, when a squadron updates their page during this competition time, depending on which markers they hit, awards and shinies will be given out. One other thing too, I've been doing here the last now it'll be 2 months here in a week. I've been going through the wiki, and every time I see somebody who's done something useful or they've made a meaningful contribution to the wiki, I'm giving them awards. So that's going to be after this next month. My trial period will end on that. I'm going to look into formalizing it a little bit more.
Gotcha. I want to say that I'm sure Taurus is already up on the top of that list after the big wiki change he did with a lot of the squadrons.
Yeah, he went through almost every squadron page.
I think not almost. I think he did go through everyone, from what he said anyway. I could be wrong.
It was pretty close. I went through his edit history and was like, yeah, he pretty much had every single one.
I would have loved to have gotten a warning about that, because I have the for those of you who don't know who aren't in the Emperor's Hammer, we have a digest email that gets sent to us after whatever we have it set to. We can change what types of notifications we got, and I particularly have the one where if a wiki change happens on the squadron page, I am to be notified, because I'm very particular with what gets put on that wiki page. And the moment I saw Taurus had making a change on the page, I'm like, I didn't ask him to do that. Why did he do that? What did he change? And I was freaking out trying to get on my phone to figure out what he changed, only to find out what it was actually helpful. I'm like, oh, thank God. Wish I had warning, but thank God, everything's fine.
Yeah, he actually sent me a message after he did all that. He goes, I hope you don't mind. I'm like,
lead with
you're
that.
benefiting the EH. I don't mind at all.
Yeah, but lead with that first, then make the change. Because as some of us we're very scared when just random changes happening without our knowing. But still, I love the new change, and I'm sure he's, like you said, is up for something whenever you do get that award set. So let's see. We've gone through your life of going from SL to Rear Admiral. First off, I'm trying to remember, what rank were you when you finally got the prestigious, and I'm gonna call it like this because I know someone wants me to call it like this. When did you become Butt Admiral?
First off, I'm the one that calls myself Butt Admiral. I know who you're talking about, and he cannot take that word from me. So I was commander when I got tagged to be the yellow.
Okay. And this is the regular.
Things gets really wonky having two profiles. So actually, the best way I can put it is each profile is like its own separate character.
Mm-hmm.
So I've got this Rear Admiral Logistics Officer character that has its own ID line and a bunch of other stuff, and then I've got my TC profile essentially. So that's my now captain with its ID line and everything else that goes to it. There's weird overlaps, but at the same time there's no overlaps. So like if I'm logged into my Rear Admiral profile and I've got a bunch of stuff sitting in the Legion queue, if they get processed, they go to my Rear Admiral profile.
Oh, okay.
Although they will technically count on both now. That was a problem we fixed with the new website.
I was going to ask because... I'm sorry, go ahead.
So there aren't a lot of people who have dual profiles now. There's Silas, myself, Lon should have one. I think that's really about it that's active in the EH.
So pretty much all the ones in a CS position that are also in a squadron.
Yeah, if you have a squadron position and you have a EHCS position, you're going to have two profiles.
Okay. And is that, I'm guessing that's staying a thing, or were there talks about?
No, it's staying a thing as far as I know. There was a big change done to it when we made the new website.
Mm-hmm.
So when I got picked up as LO, we were still, I think, a month away from the new website being up.
Mm-hmm.
Or might have only been a couple of weeks. So instead of trying to initiate the new profile with the new rank and everything in it, through the old website and the old database, we decided to just wait it out. And the new website is much better equipped to handle these dual profiles than previously. So I'd hate to have seen what it was like on the old website, because it's actually fairly easy right now. I mean, I just go, I basically click a button, and I go from flight member duties to logistics officer duties. And everything that I can do as a logistics officer, I have to do under that, and everything I can do as a flight member, I do under the other profile.
Okay. So, because I guess another thing that for those who are fresh new commanders who are just learning the ropes, if you see this episode now or far to the future to whoever watches, hit the mic different. For those of you wondering, if you're in a command position, if you're in a squadron commander position, and you have a flight member who is also part of the command staff, you're probably wondering which one. If you're saying, like, if you fly with them and you're submitting legions or whatever, which one do you quote unquote assign the legion to? And I'm guessing at this point it doesn't matter. It could go for either.
Yeah, it doesn't really matter. You can go for either. Ideally, what I think we should have done, maybe this is something I'll talk to Turtle with in the near future. I haven't really wanted to bring up a whole lot of stuff website related because he's been busy with the new TTT, trying to get everything out the door on that. There's a bunch of other...
Getting the new Aura medal. Yes, we're gonna
not the Aura.
Yeah, that's another thing. We're gonna keep getting people calling it the Ors, and then for those who are JoJo reference people, yeah, you're gonna be hearing that as well. But yeah, getting the tie core tailoring tool, is that it? No, that's
no, that's what it stands for. Tie core
tailoring tool. Yeah, TTT3. What creates our uniforms? They're getting the new medal, operational readiness award as part of that. Now I'm thinking, or is that not?
Yes, that's one of the big things they're adding into it. We're also trying to get things fixed up for the new squadrons. And yes, there is the Tempest tailoring tool, Marenta, but we don't use that anymore because Tempest is no longer around. The original TTT was made by somebody named Tempest.
Oh,
so
okay.
If you look at a lot of the back end stuff, if you pull the models out. If you dig into the coding, you'll see Tempest's fingerprints on everything.
Well, every time you say Tempest, I'm not thinking the person. Now I am.
You're thinking the squadron.
I was thinking the squadron. I'm like, they're here. They're still quite here.
Well, that's the funny thing, actually. So one of the things on the wiki I've been doing is trying to make what we call disambiguation pages, because we have a lot of like-named things, and Tempest is one of them. So there's, I think, like 4 or 5 things named Tempest that I have sitting in the about.
Oh, okay.
For in the disambiguation page.
Well, I know of,
but yes, so going back to TTT,
yeah.
So we've got a small revision coming out. I think it's like 3.01 or 3.02. And in it, we'll have the new ORA in it. The new squadron patches will be live and good to go in that. So there's a couple little things we're throwing in there. Calvin and I have actually been talking about redoing the dress uniform to try and make it. If you really kind of look at the texturing on it, doesn't look quite right. So we've been talking about how best to approach that, fix up the texturing. So at high resolution, it looks really good.
Okay.
Then this is also on top of wanting to make a female version of the uniform, because that's been an oft request thing. So I've kind of been on the side working on ways to make a more feminine version of the dress uniform. But that's a huge undertaking. Not only do we have to redo the model, but then all the shiny bits that go on it.
Yeah,
they're all kind of procedurally put in place, so we'd also have to redo all of that as well.
Yeah.
So it kind of snowballs really quick into this big thing, but I'm fairly confident that we can have it done. I just have to get it to a point where I can plug it into TTT or have Sky Shadow make a test bed where we can have both a female and a male version.
Alrighty. Well, I've also been informed that it's child taking care time by you, or it's going to be soon.
No, she can do it. She said she's doing it. It's just they will be up here,
Gotcha.
and I've closed the door, so hopefully it'll limit the amount of noise.
Well, I mean, I'm also run out of my questions here. At this point of the show, I usually just leave it open for any questions you wanted to ask, if you had any, or just any sort of general comments and whatever.
Well, let's see. We've talked about the things that I do. I know you talked earlier about working alongside the IO and the TO offices. So as we didn't really go down that path. So as the LO, I'm actually a sub office of the internet office. The logistics officer used to be its own separate CS position. But here, I forget how long ago it was rolled into a subset because a lot of what the LO deals with is internet-related stuff. So, the fleet order of battle, the wiki, taking care of
manuals and all that.
Yeah, all stuff falls under the purview of the internet office because it's all internet-driven. And to be honest, I'll even go one step further. I think the internet office itself is basically the biggest office in the TIE Corps or in the EH because everything we do is internet based.
Yeah, I was gonna say I see it as the biggest office because it runs everything.
So I mean, if we were to go by that rationale about your main job falls underneath the internet office because everything that you do is impacted by the internet office, we'd probably ought to roll all of the different command positions underneath it. So why the COM and the LO are both sub positions of the IO, and then you have the TO who is its own separate position. And there's a couple others that are their own separate positions. I think there's 5 overall. The main takeaway is that I have a lot of autonomy to do what I need to do. I technically report to Turtle, and from that I obviously report to Rapier as well.
Right.
But the big takeaway from all that is that I technically cannot have a command attaché because the command attaché is for the bigger office. So we can have one for the IO, but not one for the LO. Just like we could have a command attaché for the training office.
Right,
so
which is Robert Hogan at this time. But yeah, so I guess that was a question. It's like you can have assistants, but you can't have a command attaché.
Right. So okay. I can definitely have an LOA. In fact, I had one when I first started up. It was a carryover from the previous LO, which was Jarian Reynolds. But due to inactivity, he stepped down from that position.
Okay, and
he hasn't had a lot of time, and I think life was getting in the way, so he stepped away from the TIE Corps and he stepped away from the LOA, which is fine.
Which is perfectly fine. Real life always takes priority before anything else.
Exactly.
But it's like, are there any current LOAs right now? I'm sure Calv was one.
No, actually, Calv is an IOA.
IOA, yeah, excuse me. Yeah.
I talked this over with, because originally he was going to help me out a lot with what I'm doing as far as manuals and graphics for the wiki, etc. Because that front page that's on the wiki right now is 100% Calv. I just went through and made a couple updates and changes to modernize the linking and make sure there was no broken links on it. But otherwise, that layout and everything that's behind it is all Calv.
Okay.
So he does a lot of work for the LO's office as far as that goes, but he's really tied. We decided it was better to make him an IOA because he's also doing a lot of work just for the IO's office in general. So he can still help the LO's office, but it gives him more brevity to work for the bigger office.
Gotcha. All right. Also getting a message from Turtle. Hi, Turtle. It's a big happy
family that cross-pollinates. That's right.
Yes. Alrighty.
I said his name 3 times and he must have appeared.
Well, I think he appeared originally with the other account, the Emperor's Hammer account. But I think this is his personal one. So hi. And yeah, apparently, Marenta has decided to buy an insane amount of Legos tomorrow. I guess
fingers are already hurting. As everybody also may not know, LO does not only stand for the logistics officer, but also for the Lego officer. Because I have an insane amount of Lego.
I mean, who doesn't? Because I know I have like 3 totes worth in some warehouse somewhere in the back of the yard.
I've got a 50-gallon tub full of Lego downstairs.
50-gallon.
Yeah, the things we've actually had to replace it like 3 times because it keeps breaking. There's so many Lego bricks in it.
Damn.
The room I'm sitting in, which only has like a minor fraction of the build kits, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 kids sitting around me right now.
Wow.
9. I forgot the justifier because I just bought that.
Had to get that quick correction right there.
Well, because I got the justifier sitting over here. I've got Luke's land speeder. I'm looking at the Nebula V frigate from like San Diego Comic-Con a couple years ago.
Ooh.
The MC-75 I built. The modified Omicron shuttle from Bad Batch. An Arcatans. The N1 Starfighter. I think there might be... Yeah, the weird tank thing from Mandalorian. The one that they rode through the lava flows and the canyon.
I was going to say, yeah, so you are not talking about the Juggernaut, because that's entirely different. I think I know which one you're talking about.
What was the one they were on that they used when they were trying to escape from that facility in the canyon?
Yeah, I forgot. I know it's of the repulsor classes, but I don't remember the designation.
Doesn't matter.
Yeah, y'all can figure it out. Y'all can find it.
Yeah. And then an ATST, and then I guess it's technically not a UCS, but it's a UCS level Ecto 1.
Oh, okay.
From Ghostbusters.
Nice.
So, I got a lot of Lego, is what I'm getting at.
Yeah, Moretta's also saying there's 25 in the basement, 24 in the office.
Yes. And those are the complete kits.
Oh, complete kits. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, those are the ones that are still together mostly.
I wish I could get back to Legos, but I don't have the space for it. I just do not have the space for it. Hopefully soon.
I got the space for it.
I know. Hopefully soon, within the next few weeks. Here's hoping. More on that later. But yeah, no, that's I think that's pretty much all the time we got. Am I missing anything? I'll say, do you have any big announcements, or are we good?
Nothing really. I am going to be probably putting out my first logistics officer report here very soon.
Ooh, definitely want to read that. Definitely want to read that. Actually, no, that is a question, since
there's really nothing out there that's, if you're getting ready to ask what is the time frame, or how often should people be putting out reports, there's really no guidance.
I know there isn't no guidance for that, but it's like for the higher up offices, for your office, for the whichever offices that actually even want to do a report, like, is it just whenever there's a big update, or it's just personal preference to whoever's running the office? I'm guessing.
I would say it's personal preference. I personally would say that a 6-month rotation would suffice, depending on the I guess, like the busyness of that particular position. So like, the LO doesn't usually doing a lot of little small things in the background that people don't see, but after a big overhaul, say, would be a good time to drop a reporter. Just on the 6 months, say, in these last 6 months, we did these 5 things or 6 things or 20 things or whatever the count would be. Just like, hey, this is what we did this first half of the year. This is what we did in the second half, or then when we get to the second half, this is what we did in the second half of the year, so on and so forth.
Right.
Because I mean, if you've noticed, like Camden as ISP, he'll put out one about every 8 months. It feels like.
Okay.
The coup puts out one every, I'd say, 2 to 3 months. It feels like.
For those of you who don't know what coup means, that's the COO, the Combat Operations Office.
Thank you.
Yeah. I said.
So,
I was
but then you have
earlier.
then you have TCCom, who puts out one every month. So.
Right. That one has a little bit more.
It really
updates,
just depends on how busy the office is the office doing things that highly visible and impactful to the the rank and file, etc.
Right.
I think really kind of goes to the decision making on how often you should be making your updates.
Right. Alrighty. Well, hopefully, hoping to see that report soon. Definitely would love to read it. But I think that's all the time we got today. And you sure you don't got anything else? Just making sure, because I don't have anything on my notes here.
No, I think we've covered a good amount of ground.
Alrighty.
Or do you want me to choose who's going to be the next person that you interview?
I was thinking I should have you choose. I unfortunately didn't have Silas choose. Also, we were supremely...
Well, technically, Silas and I are out of rotation because you were gonna.
Yeah.
I think interview me before Silas, but then everything kind of got mixed and topsy turvy.
Yeah, and we were also both supremely tired last week after multiple real life work. But you know what? Yeah, go for it. Who would you want to see in the next interview episode? I can't guarantee it's next week, depending on who it is, but. Yeah, go for it.
All right, let's see here. We've already done Silas, done Maverick. Do you want anybody from Command, or are you thinking further down?
I was thinking for season 2 we could go for the Command staff offices if possible. If not, find out like who's in the news as of late, and then cover them or something like that.
Well, because that really just leaves, from Command staff, that leaves you Turtle, Rapier, Clark. Have you done Miles yet?
I have not. And
Let's tap Miles as the next one.
I think he's been waiting for this.
I think that's going to be a good one because he has so many different positions he covers. You can probably talk his ear off for about 3 hours, I think.
I was gonna say I've learned my lesson from Camgen last time. I am not making a list this time. No, apologies, Camgen. I know you're probably watching. Nothing against that, but it's like when everybody told me not to make a list for you, I should have listened. Even he said don't make a list, and I did. I was in the wrong. I was so horribly wrong. But yeah, no, I still love that episode. And I'm thinking Miles is going to have a field day when he hears that he's been nominated as the next interviewee. In fact, I'm pretty sure Ranger, who's in chat, I'm pretty sure he's letting him know right now. And if not, Ranger, let him know right now. Alrighty. Well, thank you very much, Jaxx, for coming to the show. It's been a great honor, and again, I'm sorry that the schedule has been topsy turvy, but hey, we eventually got here.
Hey, we got here, and that's all that matters.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for having me. I appreciate being invited.
Of course. I'll be right back because I got a few things I want to talk to you off stream, but I'll just be right back. All
right. Bye, Chad. It was nice talking to you.
All right. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, we're gonna call it for evening. I hope you all enjoyed this episode of the Airlock Podcast. I did write the correct episode, right? Yes, I did. 15. So we'll try to see if we can get Miles onto the show. I'm sure he's going to be bouncing off the walls knowing that he's been selected. Can I say that we're going to have him next week? I don't know. I don't know his schedule. But I'm definitely going to be aiming for it next week. Probably Monday before he starts his combat operations event. If not, we'll see how the wind flows. But anyway, thank you guys so much for stopping on by. This has been the Airlock Podcast, episode 15. And I am your host, MAJ Legion X of Thunder Squadron. I look forward to seeing you all on the next episode. Take care, good evening, good day, bye-bye.